Guess what this is? It finally arrived. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, May the 30th, 2022. Vlog number 265, and it's day 811 of COVID. And you will have to excuse me today. There could be some rough spots during today's production because I have a brand new computer. Yes, my MacBook Pro finally arrived, and I have spent the whole weekend. It arrived late Friday. I got it set up on Saturday. I have to think about this. My brain is still fuzzy from all of this learning. And I've got it all set up. I played with it for the last couple of days. I'm still playing with it, trying to get used to and get my head around how different a Mac is from a PC. I mean, I've been using a PC since PCs came out, pretty much. So 30 years, longer. And so this is new technology to me. Now, it's not that new, but it does things in a different way. So I may trip up a few times through today's video. And if I do, that's why. Okay? Well, probably one of the many reasons why I do. But anyways, let's talk about what I've been up to this week besides playing with my computer. So I have been working on, and let's just see if I can switch over here. This is half a project. This is an in the hoop table runner. You've seen this design before because I made one some time ago, and it's on my cupboard doors. You may remember it from this picture. Sorry, it's a little blurry, this picture, but that's what the final product looks like. That one happened to be done in purples and grays, or purples and silvers. That looks more gray. For some reason, the lighting when I took the picture sucked. Let's see if I can. No, got to go this way. Okay. So I had a request to do a video, sort of a video tutorial showing you how to do an in the hoop project. So I am in the process right now of doing that. This is why this project's only half done, because I sort of got waylaid by the arrival of the Mac. But my plan is to get this finished this week and possibly get it up onto my channel. And I hesitated to do this kind of thing because I don't really do tutorials. And there's a reason I don't do tutorials. There's a lot of editing involved, a lot of technical stuff that, the more equipment you're using, the more chance that things are going to go awry and, get you frustrated with the whole process. But I'm giving this a chance, and I think it's going to turn out okay. I don't have that much more to add to the video. So as I said, I'm hoping to get that done sometime this week and get it up. And if you like it, if it turns out okay, I might do more in the future, now that I have a good idea of how I want to set up my equipment. So, been working on that, and let's just move over here. Okay, so this is with Glowing Hearts quilt, the one from Northcott. That is what I want to call the quilt from hell, another quilt from hell. It seems like these ones from Northcott, and they're different designers. They do not make easy patterns. This is another one of those patterns that has 1/8 of an inch in it, and I hate working with 1/8 of an inch. But anyways, I'm getting it done. You have seen the first block, and that's the one closest to you right now on the left side of your screen. I need 2 of those. Those 2 are done. They're the right size now, since I fooled around with my 1/4 inch foot and everything like that, and you heard me talk about that before. So they're coming out okay. So I attempted the second block, and you have to make 2 of those, and that's the one to the right. They are very complex, these blocks. This is a case of where you see the block and you hear people say, oh, that looks too complicated. And people say, no, it looks complicated, but it's easy. No, these ones are complicated. Okay. And there is so much of an opportunity for them to go out of alignment or out of size with it. But so far I'm doing okay. But am I enjoying the process? I'm not. There's a lot of little pieces to cut, a lot of little pieces to sew. I don't know when I'm going to get this quilt done. I've actually done something I shouldn't do. I work on a little bit, then I put it aside and I work on another project. And at the moment, I've got about 4 projects on the go. And sometimes when you have too many projects on the go, you don't get anything done. So we'll see. I got to get and in the midst of all of this, I'm trying to learn a new computer technology. Yeah, my life's not boring. No. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to show you there. And let me just switch back to me. Get the right button. There we go. Here I am. Okay, so that takes me to the YouTube channel of the week. And this one is just called Alex. And here's what it's all about. This week's YouTube channel is one for you foodies out there. If you're interested in cooking, and cooking especially Italian food, although this site has more, you might want to check out Alex. That's all this channel is called, is Alex. Now, from watching some of his videos, which I find very interesting, I think he might be actually French. But he does talk a lot about Italian cooking. And you can see in his playlist here, he has things like the unsung hero of the pasta world, the path to fried rice, eggs Benedict quick, mother sauces, pizza, meatballs, supermarket beer challenge, wok burner. Well, I guess he has more than Italian on here. The perfect croissant, bean to bar chocolate. He's got a real variety of all kinds of different videos. And it looks like he also has some travel footage as well of various places in the world he's been to and has checked out their restaurants. He has things on wine as well and other creative recipes. So he's kind of quirky. The videos are very interesting. They're very detailed. And so, as I said, if you're really interested in food and the preparation of food, then this would be the YouTube channel for you. Check out Alex. So you will find the link for Alex YouTube channel in the show notes below. There is a link to Stephen and Walter Live, and we talked a lot about computers, of course, yesterday, but we talked about a lot of other things too. I have noticed that our evolution in Stephen and Walter Live has come to be something that's a little bit more chatty. We go with the current topics of the day. We work off suggestions or comments people are making as we're doing the live, which is great. So it is a very much an interactive experience with our viewers. At least I like to think so. So if you're not part of that, join us. Stephen and Walter Live is on Sunday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, there are links also down to my last week's vlogs with everything, the Idiot Quilter, my vlog. There is a musing, because I sometimes put in one of my musings for the Idiot Quilter Presents when I don't have an interview. But you'll be happy to know that I have an interview for this week. Fascinating interview, fascinating person. This individual is called Future Cat, and Future Cat is one of my subscribers as well, and she's in New Zealand. So it was a little tricky coordinating our times to be able to do the interview, but we were able to do it. And yeah, I think you're really going to enjoy that interview, and that's going to go up onto the channel tomorrow, Tuesday. Okay, and there is a link to this week's coming up Craft and Chat, because the first Wednesday is this Wednesday of the month, June the 1st. It falls on June the 1st. So starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and running till approximately 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will do Craft and Chat, where we get together, work on whatever we want to work on, talk about whatever we want to talk about. But just remember, it's a drama-free zone. This is meant to be relaxing, calming, feeling good about what you're doing. It's a supportive group. I never know who's going to show up, and we've been getting new people each time. So yeah, that's tomorrow, or not tomorrow, that's on Wednesday, June the 1st, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there's the Zoom link is in the show notes below. And I hope you are able to join us, because Well, I always have a good time, so I hope you will too. All right, turn the page. Yes, I have notes. I do have notes. You think this just happens? It sort of does. Okay, so next thing I want to show you is let's talk about what's outside my window today. And there we are. Okay, so that's what's looking like at when I took this picture at 7:22 this morning. Sun is coming up. Sky is looking a little dull. And as I look out the actual window right now, it's still a little dull. Temperature-wise, I'm not sure. What is it? 17 degrees C. I'm not sure what today's high is supposed to be. Will this tell me? I love my iWatch. I really do. Yeah, today's high is supposed to be 26. And it's partially cloudy. Okay, but it doesn't say there's going to be any rain. So, a nice day. Everything's nice and green. I love this time of the year. When things are getting warmer and things are getting greener, you can see our tree out front is doing beautifully. I love that tree. The neighbors have one, you can't see it, right next door, and the two trees have been growing up together since we moved into this subdivision 27 years ago. And they were just twigs at that point in time, but they put a really nice canopy. And there's a third tree that's really on our neighbor's front lawn, but they're all getting so big and they're starting to overlap in each other. They're creating a really nice canopy, of greenery. And I just picture stringing little fairy lights kind of a thing, no pun intended, in the trees, a little cafe, outdoor cafe. It would be really civilized, I think, to put some little lights in the tree and put one of those bistro tables out there, and Walter and I could sit there looking out on the street, sipping wine. How Parisian. Yeah, that's not happening anytime soon, but it makes me think of that. Anyways, that's what's outside my window today. Sorry, I just cut off the recording there for a second, but you won't really notice. That's the button I want. Get it together. I had a lot of problems getting my Elgato Stream Deck hooked into this to work. I spent most of Saturday trying to get OBS and my Stream Deck all coordinated up on this system. And yeah, I had one hell of a foggy brain when I finished all of that. In fact, to the point where I was just getting so many things mixed up. And Walter says, well, why are you working so hard at that? Why, take a break, do something else. Well, no, because we had to do Stephen and Walter Live, and I needed this system for it. I wasn't going back to the old system. I still have the old system. You can see it behind me, sitting on the desk over there. I'm not getting rid of my PC because I still have some programs that you just will not work on a Mac. So I need that. And also, it's still got all my original files on it and things, and as I need them, I'll transfer them over. But yeah, you should find a little better quality, I think, too, in this whole picture you're seeing right now, because Mac computers have a better resolution for all of that, and I hope that translates over when it goes to YouTube. We'll see. Okay, I keep coming back to Mac. Well, I'm excited. I finally got it. Took 2.5 months. Okay, so what's that take me to? Oh yeah, what's pissed me off this week? Now, I don't want to upset anybody by this, but it's been an upsetting week again, and it has to do with guns. And I've talked about gun control before and the need for it. And I know that for a certain segment of American society, they don't believe in that. They keep quoting their Second Amendment, I think it is, the right to bear arms, and I think that's just shit. I really do. It's the 21st century. We are no longer hunters and gatherers in North America. We do not need guns to survive. We don't need them to kill our food and that kind of thing. We don't need to be selling assault rifles of any sort. But as far as I'm concerned, that word assault rifle, all guns are assault weapons, aren't they? If you point a gun at somebody, that's assault. If you shoot somebody, that's murder. Okay? I don't care if it's in self-defense, because that's the other argument. Well, yeah, we have the right to bear these and we need them for defense. Do you really? What does that say about our society when we need a gun for defense. I do know there was a time, I don't know if it's still true today, but over in England, the cops did not, for the longest time, carry guns. I think they probably do now. I mean, our society is, I suppose, more violent, but I think it's more violent too because there are guns in our society. I mean, it's one thing to have a fist fight with somebody. It's even another thing to pull a knife on them. I don't think either one of those two things are acceptable, okay? But someone has a chance. If you get a knife pulled on you or something, you have a better chance, I think, of survival than if someone points a gun at your head, okay? Or other parts of your body. And it only takes a second to pull that trigger. And in the height of an emotional situation, that's what happens. Brain does not think, click, bang, done. Now, look what's happened. So all those poor children, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart on so many levels. You know, I was a teacher. Yes, I make fun of how I treated kids in school, or, what little buggers that they are, little disease bags, I've called them, and things like that. But I wouldn't have been a teacher if I didn't have a place in my heart for kids. And little kids, any human being. But an act like that, yes, they're saying the gunman, had a mental issue. You think? I think anybody that pulls a gun on anybody else for any reason has a mental issue. So we need to put more money into our mental health institutions, our mental health services, obviously. We have to stop putting money into the manufacturing of guns. Now, there'll be those of you that argue, yes, but there's lots of legal guns out there. People, have done the right thing. They filled out the paperwork. They've had background checks. And the only reason they have a gun is for sport. What is sport? Killing. That's what a gun is meant for. A gun isn't meant for the conservation of our ecosystem. It has no positive uses. It was designed for one thing, to kill. Whether that be a human being, whether that be an animal. That's what it is. Shooting animals for sport, isn't that sport? You're taking the life out of something that's living. Now people are going to argue and say, yeah, well, we have to do it because, we need it for food. No, we don't. We have something called grocery stores. Okay? It's culturally, something, it's been in a culture for the indigenous people and thing like that. Well, yeah, but they have evolved. Indigenous people are not living in the past. No. As much as maybe our society wants to keep them in the past, they do not live in the past. They are just like everybody else. They're part of our society. So, no, they don't need that. I mean, okay, if they're supplementing, especially our native peoples in the northern parts of our country, they're treated like crap by our government. Our government can do something about that. They need to put more money into their communities, into their infrastructure, so that these people can have good paying jobs, so these people can have good salaries, so those people do not have to resort to hunting for their food. They can hunt for it in the frozen food section of a grocery store. So no, that argument doesn't work with me either, that they need their guns. The guns are meant to kill. So if you're a sports person with a gun, you're killing. I'm sorry, but you are. And nothing you can tell me is going to change my mind about that. So what about gun control? Well, right now there's big screaming in the United States about gun control again. But every time there's a mass murder that happens, you hear this come up. And it's on the news for a week or two, and then it dies out. No pun intended. And everybody goes back to the status quo. The NRA needs to be abolished. There is no need for that. I mean, every time I hear the NRA, I think of the documentary I saw about Columbine, the shooting at Columbine way back. And there's one scene where Charlton Heston is in it with his gun in his hand at an NRA conference. And he says, "Not from my dead hand," or something like that. Yeah. Just warmonger. There was a video. Walter found a video I'm not sure we found it. It was on the internet. This mother, this blonde babe, okay, because that's what she looked like. She looked like she just crawled out of the pages of a nudie magazine. Has a little kid with her, her son, 4 or 5 years old, and they're at something where there's guns on display. The kid is touching the gun, and the mother says, "Show me what you know." And he knows how to break down the gun, how to load it, how to cock it, the bolt back it. It's a rifle, actually, I think. And he knows all this stuff about a gun. The kid can hardly read, yet he knows how to break down and load a gun. And he's got his finger right on the trigger the whole bit and smiling. And she's smiling. She's encouraging him. What kind of sick parenting is that? And that is sick parenting. That's child abuse. That's child abuse. Teaching your child that it's okay. It's okay to have a gun. Something needs to change. It needs to have a radical change with this. Even our premier of our province, who's running for re-election again, the idiot that he is, someone asked him about what he'd do about gun control. Well, he says, nothing I can do. It's a federal problem. And, lots of people have legal guns. And basically what he's saying is he doesn't care about gun control. Yeah, really. That mentality. I don't think we're ever going to alleviate this problem, even with stricter gun control laws. And when they put the gun control laws in, well, it's assault rifles. Not like unassault rifles. Is there such a thing as a gun? As I said earlier, all guns are assault weapons. It doesn't matter. They all kill. They all kill. My solution would be to shut down the gun industry. No more. Make it illegal, absolutely illegal, to manufacture guns. Because if you don't have guns around, if you can't make them, then we don't have a problem with gun control. Because there aren't any guns. Abolish them. Yeah, I know. That's dreaming. Because that's not going to happen. For so many reasons, and I'm sure you can list them all off, and I'm not going to bother because I know that too, but that's really the ultimate. I mean, it maybe even goes a little further than that. We need to raise children and the following generations to believe that you touch a gun, you die. It's horrible. We've been able to get through to most of society that things like smoking. People still smoke, but not on the level that they smoked years ago. Because there's been education on that. There's been a lot of education on it. There's been a lot of regulation, on getting your hands on cigarettes. So it worked with cigarettes. It could work with guns. But it's going to take a concerted effort on all of our parts to do that. And of course, we'll still have those rednecks who believe it's their right to walk into some place and bear a gun. I will not go to Texas because they have that right. They can walk into some place with a gun. Yeah, no, not going there. Sorry. Not at all. So I know I'm going to get some back flack from it, and I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're a supporter for gun, whatever reason, don't waste your time putting a comment in on this video about that, because I will delete it. Sorry. My channel, I've told you I have the power of the delete key, because I will not tolerate or listen to anyone who supports having guns for whatever reason. Sorry, I won't. So, anyways, I think it's very sad, to say the least, about those poor children. It breaks my heart. And we can only hope that cooler minds will prevail, but probably not in certain parts of the world. Okay, moving on. Products. What have I got? Well, I'm just going to see if I can find them here. I got my order from Quilting Apothecary. That was the one that I paid the extra $60 in UPS. And on So Chatty this week, Walter did some research about UPS and their fee structure. And very interesting. You should, if you haven't seen that, you should watch that. Because if you're somebody who, especially if you're in our country and you're ordering something from the States and it's coming by UPS, you may want to know this information before you order again something that's coming by UPS. But anyways, I got my fabrics. They are very nice. Very nice. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. They're very bold. Would I put the ball into one project? Well, no, I don't think I would. I think it would blow your eyeballs out of your head. But they are nice. And I got a charm pack, as you can see there, and those are Aboriginal fabrics. That's what they called them. They're from Australia. I've seen those designs before, and I have some still. That when I went to Australia, I've got the hiccups, sorry. I picked up a bunch of Australian fabrics, and I have already made those, and you've seen it back there a year or so ago. Well, maybe more like pre-COVID, when I made my Australian quilt. And so I thought I'd get some more because I just love the colors and the designs in those as well. So that I got. I also got some sticky notes with my logo on them. Yes, I ordered from that place, Vista Print. I just wanted to see what they'd be like, and I'm loving them. They're just fun. They're just for my use. But anyways, I gave a package to Walter, and he told me that my design was upside down. And actually what he meant was, and let me just switch the camera over here for a second. Okay. Here's what, you're seeing it this way, okay? That's not how my logo goes. My logo actually goes this way with the writing down the side of it. And it's over in the bottom right-hand corner. And the sticky is up here. So when I gave Walter a package of those, he was using them like this. And so the sticky, of course, is over here. You can use them that way if you want to. I mean, nothing wrong with that. But yeah, he thought he'd caught me. I made a mistake. No, I did not. That's how it's designed. Well, maybe it's a stupid design, but that's what I did. So that's fun. And yeah, and I also got another haul from, here it is, from Stitch in the Ditch out west. They were having a sale on some clearance fabrics, and I picked out some that, well, a couple of them are Christmas and a charm pack of Christmas. And of course, if you look at them closely, you will see there are gnomes, and they had this cute little applique project too, as well, with a gnome and the background fabric there. And I think I'm going to use those two things together. If you look at the one furthest to the left on your screen, it says March, October, May, a gnome for every month kind of thing, which might be fun to fussy cut, but I don't do a lot of fussy cutting. But I might use it as background for this little gnome guy that's here. We'll see. Anyways, it was just a whimsical little thing. They were on sale. I got those. And the other thing you're seeing here, this cone-like thing, Walter got me one of these. He had seen these at when he was taking his workshops with Ron Collins back a few weeks ago, and he bought one, but he didn't really like how it worked. So he did some research. He found this, and he bought one for himself, one for me, and it's like a lipstick except with needles. I wouldn't suggest that you twist it up and get it mixed up with your lipstick, because you might be very painful putting your lipstick on with these needles all hanging out of it. But it's just fun. I did put some of my hand sewing needles. Yeah, you know me and hand sewing. I don't. Into those. But it's kind of cute. And they just telescope up, fan out. You pick your needle and it drops right back down. You put the cover on it. So yeah, novelty item, but it works quite well. And of course, that now brings me to the beast. And there's the beast. There is my Mac, which is what I'm working on today. As I said, I'm so happy to have it. I do like it. It's taking me some time to get used to how things work with it, but give me a week or two and it'll be second nature. I bought a book on my Kobo, my electronic reader, all about the operating system for this particular computer, and I'm learning a lot, and it's boggling my mind. But I'm going to work my way through that book because there's so many features, so many things that this does. Well, so does Windows as well, and no one ever knows how everything that Windows does. And it's the same with this, but at least it'll give me some different options. And as time goes by, I'm sure I will start using, the ones that work most effectively for me. But there it is, my little beast. When I set it up, I had a ton of cables and wires running from my old one, and they were all underneath my desk where I'm sitting right now, and it was a hellhole under there. I yanked all that stuff out. I found wires under there that weren't connected to anything anymore. They must have been to some peripheral device years ago, and I got rid of that device, but I never got rid of the cable because it was probably part of the big octopus tangle. I had hubs under there. I had surge protect bars. I mean, somebody said to me, you're lucky you didn't have electrical fire. Yeah, quite right. Now, a lot less wires. And Walter bought me a little gift. He presented for me. It's a docking station, which gives me more Thunderbolt connections. That's what you use on the side of your computer. Apple doesn't like to give you too many of those, but apparently on this one that I have, it has the most of any of the ones they've had before this, according to Walter. Anyways, I got this docking station, and it's great. It has so many different things I can plug into it. Lots of space with it. It was not a cheap toy. It's like about $500. He said it was an early birthday present, but he figured that what would happen is I'd get the Mac set up and realize I didn't have enough ports, and I'd immediately go onto Amazon and buy something. And he had to wait for this because it was on back order. It's extremely popular. It's got really great reviews, and as soon as it came off back order, he was able to order it, and it came pretty much the same day as my Mac arrived as well. So he surprised me with it because I knew the package had come, and I said to him jokingly, "Oh, something for me?" And he just went, "Maybe." So I didn't ask him anymore because I thought, okay, it's a secret, whatever. But next morning, on top of my Mac box, because I hadn't taken the computer out yet, and I was about to do that, was sitting the box with this other little toys in it with a little note from Walter. So yeah, he looks after me. He's a good husband. He's mine, not yours. Okay, so yeah, I'm really happy with the new computer, and as I learn it, I get a little happier. I get a little bit more comfortable with each day. I mean, this is only the start of day 3 with it, so I have much more to learn. So let me switch my camera over here. There I am. Okay, so that's all the new things I bought this week. So this is going to be a long video. I'm going to warn you of that right now because I have some other pieces that I'm going to drop in here, and one of those pieces is a tour of my 3D print mill. Because people have been asking me, they want to see what my setup is. And I have shown you bits and pieces of that before, but I created a video that's a little bit more extensive about my print mill. So I'm going to insert that in here right now. So I had a request to give you a tour of my 3D printer setup. Now, I've shown you this in bits and pieces before, but I'm now going to do a little bit more extensive review of how I set things up. Now, of course, my 3D printer setup, and I'm just going to move the camera over here. You can see right over there. This is my 3D printer mill. I have 3 3D printers, and you may wonder why I have 3 of these printers. Well, the reason is I started about a year and a half ago, and I bought my first one from Amazon, and I bought a Quilter Ender 3 version 2. The reason I bought a Quilter Ender version 3.2 was because the price was right. It was at that point in time on Amazon just slightly over $300. And reading the reviews about this particular machine and coming at it as a complete novice, knowing absolutely nothing about 3D printers, I found that the reviews for this seem to be directing this machine towards people like myself who had never had any experience with 3D printing. Now, it was a bit of a risk because I'm dropping about $300 on a system. And, I wasn't sure whether I was going to like doing this or I was going to have problems or whatever. Now, I also watched a lot of YouTube videos about 3D printing, and there are tons of them out there. But after my research, I decided I would take the plunge and I would invest in a Corelity 3 Ender 3 3D printer. So I got the first one. Okay, this was a lot of fun. We watched a video. We actually had the video on when the machine arrived because there is some assembly required. Now, these are not right out of the box ready to go. And if you've never put one together before, they are not difficult, but they are confusing because they do not come with really great instructions like so many things that you have to assemble, right out of the box. So 3 hours later, we got the printer together. Now, since then, I have bought more Corelity Ender 3s, and I have had no problem putting them together. But that came with experience and with playing with them over time. So we got that printer set up and away we went. Now, at the time, this room that I'm in right now, which is my sewing room, used to be my craft room. And I only had a very limited space to put that one printer on. So it was sort of in a corner, which was not the best setup. It was awkward to get at. It was awkward to have to fix things on it, the whole bit. But I persevered with it as I learned how these things work. And I learned a lot. I am now comfortable enough to strip the whole thing down and rebuild it myself, because I've had to replace a lot of parts on the 3D printer. And that's one thing. If you're going to get into 3D printing, you have to understand that these are sort of a work in progress. They're coming out with improvements all the time, but still basically they're a hobbyist sort of product. They are not plug and play, as I've already said before, and you will have to do a lot of your own maintenance. And yes, they do take a fair amount of maintenance. And I'm going to talk a little bit about pieces and parts and how I go about supplying myself with these in a moment. So I had the first printer and I played with it. I had a lot of ups and downs, days when I wanted to take that whole thing and throw it in the garbage, other days where it worked beautifully. But since then, I've learned to be patient, and because I've learned a lot more about how they work, I'm much more confident. And that's the reason I have 3. Well, not completely why I have 3. I have 3 because my original printer stopped working. Just one day I turned it on, it didn't turn on. I went on to YouTube, I looked for all kinds of things, I tried different things. I came to the conclusion that my power brick that's built into the printer had burned out. So I needed a new one. So I ordered one on Amazon. That's one beauty of this particular 3D printer, the Corelity brand. You can get a lot of the parts you need directly from Amazon, and they're not that expensive. So I bought a new power brick for it. I opened up the machine. I pulled the old one out. This was my first time ever doing that, so it was a little bit hit and miss, and put the new one in and turned it on, and nothing happened. So I'm a little pissed at this point, and I'm figuring, okay, there's something more major wrong with this machine. I'm just going to buy a brand new one, because they were still, actually, it was slightly cheaper, I think, than the first one I bought. So I bought exactly the same machine off Amazon. It arrived. Instead of taking 3 hours to put together, it took me about half an hour to 45 minutes. So that's how much I had learned by that time. I got it up, got it running, and away I went. But in the meantime, I thought, well, I'm still going to tinker with this other machine, because after all, what the heck, I can't wreck it any more than it already is because it's not working. Well, in my tinkering, I discovered I had a short. One of the little wires in the power supply had come loose. So I tightened that up, put it back in, worked fine, no problem. So now I have 2 3D printers. That's okay. If one's good, 2 is better. So how come I have 3? Well, when I was in the process of redesigning this room that I'm in right now, I was getting rid of a lot of my scrapbooking and crafting, paper crafting supplies. And I had some of my friends come over and just basically ransack my stash, who are also crafters, and away they went happy. One of those people was a good friend of mine that owns a scrapbooking store. Just as a side note, ironically, she took a lot of my stuff, and most of it I bought at her store. But her son arrived with his half-ton. Yes, they took a half-ton worth of stuff out of my house. That's a story for another day. And I knew that he was into 3D printing. So I asked him what he had, and he had an original Creality, the version 1, if you will. And he was having a lot of problems with it, and he had just given up on it. He bought a totally different brand and was having more success with that. And he said, do you want it? And I said, well, I'll take it from you, but I'll pay you for it. And he says, nope. He says, my mother's got a whole lot of stuff for nothing from you right now. And he says, I just want it out of my house. It's yours. So I took it on. Now, I didn't know what shape it was in, but it was in pretty good shape. He hadn't used it that much. And I discovered that the reason it wasn't cooperating with him was because he didn't have it together right. So I readjusted a few things, tightened up a lot of stuff, re-leveled the bed, and it worked like a charm. So I called him up and I said, look, your machine is a good machine. It'll work. I just did some tinkering with it and I've got it up and running. You can have it back. He says, nope, I don't want it. And he said, you keep it. And I said, well, I feel bad about taking this around. I'll pay you for it. And he said, no, he didn't want a cent for it. So I got a free 3D printer. And away I went. And that printer has been the most reliable. And I'll just turn my camera over here. And that's the one sitting closest to the set of white shelves right there. And it has given me the least amount of problems of any of the machines. Now, it is a little bit more difficult to level the bed, which you have to do. That is the most principal thing you have to do, and newbies don't get this. I didn't when I first got my machines. You have to make sure the bed is level, or your prints will not work. And it is tricky to level the beds, and it takes a lot of patience, and over time now I don't have a great deal of problem with that. There are gizmos on the market that will help you with that, but essentially what you need is a sticky note, and that's it, and some patience. And you can, over time, as I said, with practice, you'll learn how to get your bed leveled correctly. So there's the 3 printers, and that's my print mill. Now right behind those, and what my printers are doing right now is, well, first of all, my storage of my filaments. And let me go over and show you what I mean. All of these cupboards are filled with boxes of filament. As you can see, I've run out of space for filament. I collect filament like I collect fabric. And I'm always trying all kinds of different brands. But what I have found that's been most reliable is a brand called Eryone. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. It's Eryone. And you can see in the middle, on the middle printer, that's some Eryone or Eryone on my printer. I also use an excellent 3D filament that comes from BC, British Columbia, and it is by a company called Matter 3D, M3D. Excellent product. The price is the same as the ones I buy from Amazon. It does take a little time to get it shipped, although lately I've found out there's another outlet that I can get it from called 3D Printing Canada. At the same price, and because they're here in Ontario closer, it takes less time to get. At least I'm assuming it has. I haven't ordered any from them yet, but that was recommended to me by the owner of Matter 3D, and I have to say their customer service is excellent, and so is their filament. It's really good. So not all filament is the same in its production, and there are many reasons for that, because they sometimes put filler in with the filament, and that can affect the quality of your prints. So I have learned over time that those 2 brands, the ones I just mentioned, are the 2 that I go to the most readily. Now, I am building right now on my 3D printer, and you saw it in the teaser this week, some little brackets to hold reels of filament on my wall. And let's see if I can show that. Doesn't show up as well over here, but you can see there's some reels hanging on the wall behind the printers. Well, that's what I'm building right now on my 3D printers that are running in the background. So what else can I show you? Well, I'm going to switch over to my other camera to show you the next thing. So here's a little better shot of the brackets I'm making right now to hold these reels of filament on the wall.
This serves two purposes. One, it gives me more space in my cupboards above, and two, it just looks kind of nice with the light shining on them as well. So down here you will see there are a variety of tools that I need and extra nozzles. The nozzles are what the filament comes through, and those will wear out fairly quickly because they're made of brass. You can get ones made out of hardened steel and stainless steel. They're much more expensive, and to be honest, I haven't had any luck with the hardened steel ones. I don't find them any better than the brass, really, at least for the type of filament I use. And the type of filament I use is called PLA. It's the most common of the filaments, but there are different grades of filament you can get, different types, and they all have their own characteristics and quirks. And basically, I haven't played with very many of those because, well, it takes a lot of time and a lot of tinkering to get them to work properly, and I'm really happy with the way the PLA works right now. Now, for other storage though, as I was saying, parts, I have a cabinet over here listed, 3D printing supplies, and in here I have a drawer full of them. I have something called Bowden tube, which is very necessary for a printer. I have extra hot ends. I have certain wiring components. I've already talked about nozzles. Yeah, I basically stockpile my supplies because it's good to have these things so you can replace them on your printer when you need to. And as I said, they're not that expensive. You can get most of them on Amazon, at least for Corelity, Ender 3D printers. So yeah, there's all kinds of things you could do with a 3D printer for upgrades, and I haven't done that many different upgrades at all. Basically because I'm still a chicken to try, because there are things that you add to your printer and you have to change your settings and that kind of thing. There's also programs that you get, they're called Slicer, and what they do is they take what are called models, that's basically your prints, they're called models, and you put them through the slicer, so it creates something called a G-code. The G-code is then transferred into the 3D printer, and there's various ways to do it. With mine, I just do it from an SD memory card, and that tells the machine how to print what you want to print. And that's a whole discussion for another day, and I'm not going to pretend that I really understand G-code, because people who are really into this can actually program in G-code. And there are YouTube videos that explain all of that as well. So this was, as I said, a request from one of my subscribers to do a tour of my setup for my 3D printers. And so there you go. Those are my three babies. This is my printing 3D print mill, and this is my area of my sewing room that has the 3D printing.
So now that takes me to my continuing stories of our trip in 2018 to Australia, one of our 3 trips to Australia. And this is part 2 of the Neuroptapa, don't think I'm saying that right, on February the 15th, 2018. So I'll insert that here.
What's this? Is this Murray Street?
This is the one.
Arriving at 22
That's it
Murray
right
Street,
there, yeah.
on the right.
Okay, so this is where we're going to be staying the next 2 nights. The Vine Inn.
Okay, so how do I get over there?
Good question. You going that way? I don't know.
Go around.
30 meters, it says. Maybe. I don't know. Figured it. Okay, so this is our room for the next 2 nights. The place is called, what's it called? The Vineland? Or Vine Inn. The Vine Inn. Lots of beds. Little place to sit. Now, they have this patio door that's supposed to be a little like patio thing, but the door only opens 6 inches. It's screw nailed up at the top, and it says it only opens that for security reasons. Well, I think we know why there's security reasons, because you see this couple that are standing over here. When we walked into this hotel to register, it was quite loud and noisy in the attached restaurant-y kind of bar. It has pool tables and that. And I saw 3 chicks walking into a bathroom in there. Well, actually falling into a bathroom with drinks in their hands. You have to remember, this is only $120. in the afternoon. And on Thursday. And it sounds like a party's going on in this restaurant. They seem to be in the average age between late 20s up to maybe early 40s, what I could see. But this couple's been standing out here since we got in, and he's basically trying to pick her up. Little afternoon delight, I think. So, I don't know if he's getting too very far with her or not. But there's also other things that this is not a sleepy little town. It looks like a party town because on the door back here, there's some regulations. Says, no smoking, party damages policy. To protect the well-being and amenity of all house guests, the Vine Inn Barossa enforces strict no accommodation room, party and or damages policy. So it would seem to me, between the fact that they have this sign on the door, this is the bathroom, like it has a separate cubicle for the toilet, and then in here they have a shower and the sink and the whole bit, which is all very nice, very clean, very modern. But anyways, and because that door doesn't open any further than it does, it sounds to me like we've gotten into Party Central here. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We may hear more later in the day or the night about all of this. So anyways, yeah, it's a little bit of a party town. Oh, must be all those wineries. Okay, we're here and we're eating in the very loud and partyish restaurant, bar that's attached to the hotel. It looks very nice, but I'm finding the atmosphere here totally different from where else we've been so far in Australia. The people here seem just a little colder, not as friendly, and definitely party animals. Like, they almost seem like the stereotype of what we think of Aussies at home here. So I'm glad that I've seen other parts of Australia. Maybe it's just this place, I don't know. It just seems to me like, quite frankly, a bunch of drunks at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Thursday. So I don't get it. Plus, this isn't no smoking in this area, but over in the other area, they're smoking, but they don't seem to be being regulated by the signs or anything. And of course, it's blown over the top of us. I don't know. I could be wrong about this first impression. Okay, so sorry. I don't mean to offend any of my Aussie viewers out there, because up until this point, we have found them nothing but lovely through it all. And maybe it's just this place. It's just the atmosphere. I don't know. I hope that's all it is. Okay, so just to continue from what I said last time, we're looking around here, and this is definitely a party place. You can hear it. You probably can't hear me. Again, it's 2:18 in the afternoon. These people
On a Thursday,
they party hardy early. Don't know if this is what they usually do. Well, I think they're watching the Olympics. Maybe they took time off because Australia's in the Olympics today or something. I don't know. Because they have it on a big screen over there, but it's certainly a hopping place. Okay, so we're just sitting here and we're talking about the SIM card that we bought for Walter's phone, so we would have access on our cell phones to, or on his cell phone, to the internet and to, make calls. So what? So it was $45. It's a Woolies card.
yeah, and I got it for 30 days, right? And it included, well, actually, it came with 10 gigs of data, but because I activated it before a date in March or whatever, it gave me an extra 5 gigs of data. So I got 15 gigs of data for 30 days. I get I get $100 of special services for 30 days. I get unlimited phone calls in Australia, giving and receiving and making them, and I get unlimited text messages in Australia, and I can supposedly make phone calls to Canada for free.
So really, it's a real, that's pretty good with that, because our plan,
I can pay $45 on my plan at home and only get 500 megabytes of data for 30 days, unlimited phone calls in the locality, but I'd still get charged for long distance calls in Canada. And that's about it. That's all I get for $45.
So basically, we could take that card and set it up as a hotspot as well, so my phone could actually use that data plan as a hotspot. Not that we have any need to do that, but actually I am a little bit more impressed this time on this trip to Australia with the internet connections that we have had. Now, the one we had last night was no good for uploading to YouTube, and that's why people, I'll try on this one that we have in this hotel. Not sure if it's going to work.
I don't think it
so.
will.
It may be a couple of days yet before I'm able to upload my latest videos. But so it'll be, you're going to get a whole bunch of these all at once, including this one we're making right now. But we'll see what happens. And anyways, not a bad deal. So this is near Quilter. I don't know how you say it. But this is looking down the street from it. Can't really see much because of all the trees.
Nariupta.
Who?
Nariupta.
Nariupta. Well, whatever. Again, anybody in Australia, not Austria. Australia. You can let us know how to really say that. This is where we're staying. Actually, it's a fairly nice place, in spite of the crowd. But that might have been just random luck that they do that kind of thing. I don't know, a bunch of them. I don't know, a bunch of them were dressed in like black skirts or dresses and everything, and the guys had some black pants and white shirts, so they looked like maybe they were at something. I don't know. But whatever. Not that big a deal. And this is just down the street a little further. It is not the Sleepy Hotel. Ooh, the bargain store. So I don't know how many towns you've ever been in that have a chicken center, but this place has a chicken center. Not really sure what that means. It's open 6 days, so I'm assuming that it's either a restaurant, it's got little tables out here, so you can get chicken done in many, many ways. Oh, and they have beef kafta wraps and falafel wraps too, so they have everything. And then you have the Fleur Center, which is flowers and coffee, because nothing says delicious like dunking a flower in a coffee. Funny, it's right next door to the blood test center. Kind of wondering about that. Or your foot doctor. Okay, it's one-stop shopping. I can have chicken for lunch, a coffee with some flowers, get my blood tested, and then check out my feet. All within one block. No, you didn't. Pizza, pasta, chicken, hot packs, burgers, gyros. I wonder if those are hot gyros.
Maybe.
And they spell it differently than with a G.
Yeah.
Seafood, salad, coffee, and ice cream. Oh look, scrapbooking magazines. Oh look, all these scrapbooking magazines. Old scrapbooking magazines, but... Oh, it's another hotel. Divine Court. Okay, glad not staying there. I'll put up with the rowdies. And the afternoon delighters in where we're going. That place looks like I'd have to put up with the cockroaches. Let's buy a house. Nice sleeping in.
235,000.
Holy crap, that's cheap.
1,090 square feet.
1,090 square feet. Wow. Shoot, I couldn't get my craft room in that.
1,347 square foot.
How far
320,000. Actually, it looks really nice.
Yeah, actually it does. Yeah, let's buy a house. Say, take you under this one. Where's that? Oh, a bit off the top. The cottage. Bookshelf and giftware. Books, gifts, cards, DVDs, and CDs. Tattoos and piercing. Hey, let's go in and get a kangaroo tattoo.
Yeah, right.
Get it right on your right cheek. And I don't mean on your face. Oh, hot to it. Well, wouldn't you like a lasting souvenir of Australia? Or maybe a wallaby? Now your ass is big enough to handle a kangaroo.
So George.
Yeah, no, just get a little wallaby. Just get a little wallaby. Or one of those cute birds that make the sounds, those magpies or maggies or whatever they call them. Flowers. Okay. What do they know about polar bears? Polar bears are indigenous to our end of the world, to the Arctic, not the Antarctic. Travel. The
Luxury New Zealand, 9,655.
Well, there was that one that had the Canada and Alaska one on the rail for, what was it, 17,000?
Don't have to show everybody the whole thing.
Why not? They might be interested. Walter doesn't think you'd be interested in showing him the town. Let me know.
So that takes me to what's been happening in this past week. Well, Walter's tooth. Okay, you know that he had to have, when he had this tooth extracted, it broke. And he had to go to a dental surgeon. And there were all kinds of things that the dental surgeon said could be complications. Well, it went off well. The dental surgeon got the rest of the tooth out. And it didn't cause any complications. Walter said it really didn't cause him any pain. And so now he's recovering from that. I think the other day his stitches dissolved that were in there. And so, yeah, it's doing okay. We had a few days of eating soft foods, preparing us for the nursing home, I guess, puree everything. And I think he's doing okay with that right now, just in time for the next thing he has to have done, and that's a root canal. Yeah. Doesn't rain, it pours. And I went to the dentist this past week for my 9-month checkup and cleaning. And I am very, very particular about my teeth and looking after them because my parents both had really bad teeth. Part of the reason was they never went to a dentist at all. Well, they didn't really have a plan for anything like that. And I said I was never going to have teeth like that. I should have started at a much younger age looking after my teeth properly, but I'm doing it now and have been for quite a few years. I floss like the devil. There was a day and age when, yeah, the dentist say you should be flossing. I go, yeah, I try it one day and went, yeah, okay, that's not for me. No, I do it faithfully. Every time I brush, after I brush, I floss. And I floss the heck out of my teeth each time. My teeth get flossed at least a minimum of 3 times a day. Told you, I'm a fanatic about this. And it's working because I hate getting my teeth clean because they're in there with those stupid picks and they're digging for treasure all the time in there. Scrape, 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 crack, crack, crack. I don't know what they're doing in there, but they're doing something. And I hate it. It doesn't hurt, but I hate it. Okay. And so this time, the dental hygienist did not spend as much time as usual, which tells me that my flossing is working. Now I did mention to them the fact that my jaw cracks. It's not doing it right now. I'm doing my jaw exercises right now. This is one thing I read about that can help with this. The dentist said, well, if you're not having any pain with it right now, we'll just keep an eye on it. He says, ask me if I grind my teeth at night. I says, I don't think I do, but maybe I do. I sleep very, very soundly. I've been, for the last 6 weeks or so, really soundly. And I could be grinding my teeth in the night. They said there were some signs of that. So he said, well, we'll leave it. And we'll see how it works out. And he says, next time you're in, we might have to get you a mouth guard at night. Yay. That's what I want. Like, am I a horse? Put a bit in my mouth? I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. But right now, it's still tight in there. But it's a little better. So we'll see how that all works out. I hate going to the dentist. And this little trip to the dentist was only $325. I do have an insurance plan. It pays about 85% of it, so not too bad. However, prices have gone up at the dentist since COVID. I mean, after all, the dentist has to put his payments down on his new Tesla or whatever he's driving. There's Mercedes and the whole bit. You know, there's 3 professions I think that people need to, if you want to make money, go into. Dentist, doctor, lawyer. And none of those 3 go into it because they want to help people. Sorry, they don't. They go into it for the big bucks. I'm pretty much sure of that. Oh, I know some people would add teacher to that. No. No. That isn't. If you go into teaching because you want to make big bucks, no. Become a lawyer. Or a dentist or a doctor. So anyways, yep, that was fun this week. What else happened this week? Nothing. That's about it. We talked about this on Stephen and Walter Live yesterday, about memory and loss of memory. I've been a little bit, lately, it scares me. My memory isn't what it used to be. Now, yes, I know age affects it as well. But I really had a few moments on Saturday, especially when I was getting frustrated with the computer. And I couldn't remember. I'd have a thought, I want to try this. 30 seconds later, thought right out of my head and I could not get it back. I think I was being overwhelmed with the technology. So many things were going through my head. My brain was just shutting down and saying, no more, we're full. But you know, do have the usual things. And you hear older people, my age group and that, talk about, you walk into a room because you went in there to get something and you don't remember what it was. That happens to me a lot. Walter's been complaining about the similar things as well. But we are talking, I have become very housebound, since COVID. I don't want to go anyplace. I don't want to go out. Going to the grocery store, it gets me in a frenzy. there's people in there, and they're everywhere where I don't want them to be, and they're in my way, and they're too close to me, and things like that. And I know that that's paranoia, and that's because of COVID, and that worries me too. Walter said we've got to go away. We need to do some sort of trip. I am not comfortable with flying anywhere yet. But like Walter says, well, we may have to rip the bandage off the scab or whatever that expression is, because this becomes dangerous. And there is something called situational dementia. I know my mother had it. When you're in some place for too long where you don't have a lot of contact with the outside world or with a lot of other people or whatever, feelings of paranoia, your imagination takes over. It can be very crippling. So yeah, we need to go somewhere. The other thing too is we used to go out a lot to eat. And with COVID, we stopped that and we saved a lot of money. And now I'm almost resentful of the idea of going out and having lunch somewhere or something because of what it might cost. Yeah, I spend money, but on something like that, it seems like, well, why? I can eat at home. I don't know. This is something new, and I've got to do something about it, and I got to get a grip. So maybe you can let me know in your comments if you're having, is this a side effect of COVID? Or is this just plain old age? I don't know which. But I don't want to be losing my memory, and I don't want to feel paranoid. And yep, I'm going to have to get out there again. I've got the 4 shots. I wear my mask. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. So, we're talking about what we're going to do, and we'll let you know. Okay, so that's about it for this week. This is a long video, I know. Sorry. You can fast forward through parts that you aren't interested in. Of course, some of you are going to say, yeah, that's from the beginning to the end. So, whatever. But just, again, a reminder, Craft and Chat, this Wednesday, June the 1st, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you there. It's going to be fun. That's my way of getting out. Doing a Zoom thing. Yeah. Might be sad. I don't know. Anyways, I hope you're not sad. I hope you are going to have a great week. I hope everything in your life is going well. And yeah, stay tuned for more videos this week from me as usual. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.